Imagine a world where you can turn your creative ideas into a beautiful printed book and have it distributed worldwide. You don't have to worry about investing money up front, you don't have to worry about storing them in your spare room, and you don't have to worry about running to the post office every single time you get an order. Imagine how creative it would feel having all the highest risk parts taken care of so you can just focus on what you do best. Well, you actually can do this now, and Amazon will take care of all the tricky bits for you. The printing, the inventory, the customer service, and the shipping worldwide, which is pretty awesome. It's called KDP, and it's a low-risk way to tap into a marketplace with millions of shoppers while you just focus on the things that you love, so the writing and the creating. As a designer, I love page layout. I'm really passionate about it. And I mean, it's a huge part of KDP. It is essentially the product. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what KDP is, and I'm going to give you a basic understanding of it. I'm going to show you how to create 5 different page layouts that you can use inside your journals and planners. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to tell you exactly where I will put my time when it comes to creating a product for KDP. This week, I partnered up with the lovely Laura Bull, and she has a pretty epic background when it comes to selling KDP journals. She actually just dropped a training in my memberships, which goes through KDP and beyond. I really love Laura's journey because she started selling KDP journals and she's grown that into a pretty epic 7-figure business where she sells beautiful high-end products now, like affirmation cards, journals, planners, and just really high-end, beautiful printed goods. And I mean, it just shows where you can take this. You can start small, start on KDP, self-publishing, and getting them to handle all the fulfillment for you, and you can grow into something much bigger. For those of you who aren't familiar with KDP, it stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, and it's essentially an arm of Amazon. So they will handle all of the printing and shipping and fulfillment, and they give you a cut of the profits as you make those sales. Coming from a background of selling on Etsy, which is a marketplace and has kind of all that traffic there waiting for you, Amazon is the same. So you've got all of these customers coming to the platform and shopping specifically for things. And I mean, back in the day, you used to have to invest quite a lot of money upfront to actually get anything printed, whereas now you can very much create your design, you can research it, you can put your time and energy into the actual product creation, and everything after that point is handled by Amazon. So you can just focus on more products and improving your product range. So now you have a basic understanding of what KDP is. Let's jump into the design component. I'm going to jump across to Canva and show you how to create 5 different styles of pages that you can use inside your planners and journals. Here I am in Canva. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to set our page up with the correct margins for KDP. So the internal pages, they have quite a lot of space around the edge. I've sort of mapped it in here, and I'm going to drag across my guides just so I know where I can put my text. So you can see these guides are here. They're not actually going to be on the final one. They just sort of guide me where as to put the content. Now today I am working with a 6x9 inch page, and I'm going to make everything black and white so it's really cost effective to print. So first up, let's do the notes page. Now, notes pages are extremely simple. They're usually just a header with some lines. So what we're going to do is add in some text. I'm going to call it notes. Beautiful, and you can see I've put this right up to the top margin. Next up, I'm going to insert some lines by hitting L on my keyboard. Now by default, these are very, very dark. So I'm going to drop these back to be nice and light. 1 point will do it. Sometimes I'll even make them sort of like a shade of gray just to give them a bit of a softer look. Now what I'm going to do is copy and paste this line. So Control C on my keyboard. I'm just going to copy and paste it like this. I'm going to drag the bottom one right to the base here. I'm going to hold Shift to select everything here. I'm going to go to position. Then I'm going to hit tidy up, and that's automatically going to lay these out. So I think for me, that looks quite good. I'm happy with that for my notes page. And if I go to File, Settings, I can actually turn off the guide so we can see how the final book is going to look. It looks quite well spaced. Now, some people prefer dotted lines for their notes pages. So let's select all these lines, head over to the line style here, and we're just going to select dotted. Beautiful. And you can see now these are dotted lines. Next up, we have the prompt page. So prompt pages are amazing for journals. They essentially will have like a list of prompts and space for people to respond. So I'm going to copy and paste in my prompts. Got these ready to go. I'm going to go back to this page here, my notes page, and I'm going to copy this header across to here so it's really consistent. Now what I'm going to do is pull out the prompts so they're in individual text boxes, and I'm going to bring them down to 9 point in size. And now I'm going to add a text box, pulling this one across. Beautiful. So you can see this one has my prompt at the top and then a text box around it. I'm just going to duplicate this out You can see there's too much space on the page, so I'm going to undo that. I'm going to make the box a little bit bigger. Perfect. Now I'm just going to copy and paste in the rest of the prompts. I'm going to add a little bit of formatting to these as well. Beautiful. So you can see here is my prompt page. If I turn off the guides, we can have a little preview of what it's going to look like. Next up, we have the introduction page. So it's always a good idea to have a bit of an introduction explaining what the journal or planner is about. Now, a lot of the time I see these formatted in quite a basic way. People use like one font size and that's it. So I'm going to show you exactly how I will go about sort of spicing it up and making it a little bit prettier. So I'm going to put in some lorem ipsum. Now, if you haven't seen this before, it's basically filler text. And yes, it is Latin, it's not in English. So if you ever see lorem ipsum, it just means that the designer has sort of put in some filler text to help them show what the layout is going to look like. And they just didn't have any content. So now I'm going to go and copy my header from this other page here. Beautiful. And I'm going to take out the first paragraph here. Beautiful. You can see now I've pulled this out and it's kind of like an introduction or a subheader. Next up, I'm going to format the body text. Now, one big mistake I see, people make the body text way too big. So 8 point is what we call standard. If you're making it for older eyes, then you want to go 9 point. So you can see the typography is really stripped back. There's not too much content here. It's easily readable. Now I'm going to add some little elements to this design as well. Beautiful. So now I'm just going to show you what it looks like without the guides. You can see we've got a beautiful border here. I feel like this text is a little bit too close to the edge, so I'm just going to bring that in a little bit. You can see that looks much better. I'm just going to make sure this is evenly spaced as well. And I feel like these leaves can just be a touch smaller. Beautiful. So there our introduction page is done. Now the quote page. So quote pages will typically have like a quote on them, but they also make great divider pages and they just feel really special having them included in some planners and journals as well. They kind of just add that extra bit of polish. So let's copy and paste in a quote here. So ChatGPT came up with this one for me. So I've got who the quote is from. I'm just going to strip off those quotation marks and I'm going to actually look in elements for some quotation marks. Beautiful. So now I'm actually going to style this a little bit more. I'm going to go and I'm going to grab this style here from this other page. Now let's make it quite a big feature. I'm actually going to bring it up to be quite large. And what I might do is actually make this page black and we'll make the quote white. And that's going to really help with being a divider page. I'm also going to grab this beautiful leaf element and carry it across and just sort of have this come in at the top. So that's our quote page done. Lucky last, we are going to be looking at a tabled page. So these are really, really good for planners and they're very, very popular as well because they're quite detailed. So let's jump in and get started. I'm going to start by copying and pasting my header across so it's consistent. Now we're going to go over to elements. We're going to scroll down to where we have tables. I'm going to click the first one and you can see a table automatically goes in here. So I'm going to change the line width on these as well. Bring it right down to 1 and I'm going to add in some columns by right clicking. And I'm going to add in some rows by right clicking here as well. Beautiful. So now I'm going to drag this up here. I'm just going to pull it out. Beautiful. So you can see I've got my table. Now what I'm also going to do is just add in some sort of boxes down here just to add a little bit more texture to the page. Beautiful. You can see I've got a bit of a structure here now. Over here, I'm going to add a bit of a checklist. So I'm going to add some lines. And a little circle checkbox. Now I'm going to group these together I'm going to duplicate this out like we did the note page. Now I'm going to select all of them, go to position, tidy up, and you can see it lays them out evenly now, which is really nice. I'm just going to add in some little dots to this note section down here. I'm going to change these to be gray as well, so they're really, really subtle. Beautiful. So now if I go to File, Settings, Show Rulers and Guides, I can turn them off and you can see our final tabled page is ready. Now, if I was creating a KDP product today, what would I spend my time on? Coming from a background of selling lots of planners and journals on Etsy, I know that one of the most important parts of the design is actually the cover. A lot of people will actually buy solely on the cover, which I know sounds crazy, but it's definitely true. So when it comes to designing covers, there's 3 things that I keep in mind. Number 1 is I try to keep it relatively simple. So we live in a very, very busy world where people have information thrown at them constantly, especially when you're on a marketplace, you are competing for attention and time. So you really want to make sure your product is simple, it's clear from a distance and from the thumbnail exactly what it is you're selling. And that leads us to point number 2. You really want to pick a title which is self-explanatory. So we don't want a really fluffy title which is quite creative and long and takes a bit of time to read. We really want to get to the point and explain exactly what it is that we're selling. And then tip number 3, we want to make sure we pick complementary design elements. So we want this cover to look and feel like what it is about. And this can be imagery, it can be photos, it can be colors, it can be a design style which you feel really fits it. But you want to think carefully about how the design of your cover complements the actual theme of your journal or planner. So that brings us to the end of this video. I would love to know in the comments below, are you currently selling on KDP? Do you have some books up there? I would love to check them out. Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, if you are passionate about design and online marketing, I do have a video which I think you're gonna love. I'm gonna put that one just up here. Otherwise, have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Bye for now.